This is Anajam TV reporting on. This is Anajam TV.
This is Anajam TV here today with PaperSwordParty cosplay group. Please introduce yourself.
Alright, so I am Keika. Oh, I have to have this, don't I? I am Keika.
I'm Shi-chan.
I'm Angelique.
And I'm Kei-chan.
Now, first and foremost, you guys are not pros. So how did you guys get so good at cosplaying?
Well, a lot of it comes from practice. Like, I can pick up a costume that I made like a year ago and see all the things that I did wrong with it now. But when I made it, I was like, yes, this is perfect. This is amazing. There's nothing wrong with it. And because I've learned and I've done things and, you know, practiced, I'm able to grow and become better.
Also because we really love it, and when you really love something, you put a lot of time, effort, and just we would get into details, and we really look at photos, so then when we go to portray the character, it shows that we really worked hard on you know, showing our favorite characters.
What was your guys' first cosplay, and was it anime or video games?
I exclusively cosplay from video games, and my first cosplay was Ruti Katreya from Tales of Destiny, which I don't bring anymore because I gained 20 pounds since then, and she doesn't leave much to the imagination, so yeah, but that was my first cosplay.
My first cosplay was from Flan from Disgaea, and I didn't know the character as well, but she was really cute, and I was like, I really want to do this. My mom really helped me out because I didn't know how to sew, but that was my first one.
My first cosplay was Amy Sorrell from Soul Calibur 4, and I made it in a month, and it turned out like a million times better than I ever expected it to. I made it in a month first cosplay. It's like, oh, it's amazing.
I think I'm the only one out of all of us that actually first cosplayed an anime because I didn't know them at the time because I've cosplayed many a game now since then. But I actually cosplayed Yukonda from D. Greyman, the first uniform. So that was kind of a challenge for my first. Jackets are not fun.
What is more challenging, making the costumes or making the hair and makeup?
Depends on which one of us you ask.
Well, I think most of us, though, it is usually the costume. I mean, sometimes it's hard to get, like, the hair together, but for me, mostly, it's been, like, the costumes that have been the most difficult, and for the hair, it's just, like, how much it's gonna cost.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, she's the wig stylist anyway, but like most wigs you can find online that have like the general, so you don't have to do too much with the wigs and everything, and the makeup's not too difficult. You can't tell what I'm doing, but the actual sewing of the costumes, especially with video games and stuff, a lot of costumes have a tendency to defy gravity, and so it's really hard to try and incorporate your own, you know, to make up for the real gravity that actually exists on top of like very like weird designs that don't flatter the human figure normally, so you have to kind of like work around all that stuff. So I guess the costume is kind of more difficult.
Every once in a while you'll find like a character like out of the blue that actually has difficult makeup, like full body paint, or I don't know, maybe he's an 80-year-old man and you're an 18-year-old girl. And like when it's something like that, when something extraordinary, yeah, I think like the makeup or the hair or something would be a little bit harder, a little bit more difficult. But for the most part, yeah, it's definitely the sewing.
Well, yeah. Yeah, it's the sewing. It's just everything they said, especially once I started cosplaying from games. It's just, oh my gosh, they don't even. it's like somebody sat there and was like, just in case somebody cosplays this, I'm gonna make it extremely difficult for them to try. So, but it's fun in the end. It's like a lot of fun, especially it's fun to have that kind of a challenge with video game costumes and stuff and working on them. So, and then when you finish them and then you do defy gravity in some way, you're like, look at it, it's so cool. And then, but yeah.
How long does it usually take you guys to cosplay a character?
Like from the initial like choosing the character to like actually having it all together.
After choosing a character, how long does it usually take?
Okay. Well, like it greatly depends on the character because if you're going to make something like, I don't know, Tira from Soul Calibur, then yeah, that's going to take a little bit more time than. These guys. Yeah. So for the most part, I don't know. Couple of weeks for me.
Yeah.
Like when I like actually do it.
That's funny. Some of our members are last minute, but they do a really good job. I think they work under pressure. You guys do. You guys work like they get stuff done like worried about them, and then they'll come out to the con. I'm like, how did I get that done? I'm always scared, so I start very early, and it takes forever to make it because I procrastinate, but I still do it. That's why I have to start very early. I don't do well under pressure.
Yeah, like they said, it kind of depends on, like, I guess, the actual costume. And, I mean, some things, it kind of takes, like, especially with props and everything, you could take, like, weeks and whatever. It's, like, props you have to take longer because there's, like, different things that have to dry, like if you're going to use plaster or something like that, and then you have to let that dry and then go over it again, and then let that dry and go over it again. So those things you can't really procrastinate on. But, like, simple stuff, like, I don't know how long it took you guys to make these, but we had one costume for Germany over there. And that one took, what, from November from like May to the next year?
Yeah, we started as soon as I figured out.
Yeah, giant fairy wings that we made from scratch. We like drew out the pattern and everything else, and that was craziness. So it really depends. Like there's the average time is just there's not really an average time. There's just it depends wholeheartedly on the character.
And how many times like you have to. Sorry. And like a lot of the reason why it took so long, it takes so long for some cosplays is that you don't just like know what you're gonna do and it works. You have to like try, because we tried like so many different things before like the right thing actually. We're like, okay, is this gonna fall apart? No, okay, yay. So yeah, next step, and then you do that all over again. So yeah, it really depends on the character. Like differs from like giant fairy winged queen to like schoolboy. You know, I can make that in like one night, which I've made a. I was like, what? What? It's National Cosplay Day tomorrow? Let's go to Joanne's. We gotta make something, you know? Tonight, right now. But yeah, so yeah, it changes. Mm-hmm.
Props. Now, if a character has a prop, should you or should you not make the prop of what they are carrying?
Okay. I love making props like that. I guess. Yeah, I mean, if you think you have, there's sites online where you can buy them if you're not really comfortable in your prop making skills. But I think that's the funnest part is making props because, well, for one, it's not sewing, and like I guess it's easy to sort of pick up with small things first. I say always make them because like it's one thing to just have the character like I am right now, but it's another thing to have like a giant key or a giant hula hoop sword thing that Tira has, or you know like even just a giant buster sword like Cloud. Like when people see that catches their eye right away. Like you could have the finest tailored costume ever, but if you see someone with a giant Gatling gun, you're gonna go to him first. And it's really cool to have that kind of work pay off too, because you slave months and months over trying to make something perfect. And you have like each measurement and every detail drawn out and painted and crafted, you know, and you work your butt off. And then like you finally go to a con and everyone's like, oh my god, that's amazing. And you're like, oh my god, I'm so happy you like this. It's always worth it to me to make a prop, and like people always acknowledge that first too. So it's really gratifying to do that. So I would say just always make props. They're tons of fun.
And even when the props are like, cause yeah, giant props and stuff like that are like amazing. But even when you get like the tiniest props, like just like the character holds like a map or like a scroll, you know, that, you know, in this episode, and, you know, that's important to the plot, but you know, it's small, so you don't have to make it, but then you do, and people see that you have it, and you're like, oh, you have the map, the scroll, or the loaded dice, or that he carries around in his pocket, you know, then that's always fun when you like have the little details, little props, you know. So that's what I like that too. I like having like little details, just things that they would just carry, like instead of just the general costume.
I was laughing at something else. I mean, I love you. Something to remember is that even if you don't have the props, it's not going to like ruin your day as long as you go out and have fun. Because like I'm sure we've all been in a costume or something without a prop, and yeah, it'd be cooler if we had the prop. But yeah, whatever. As long as you have fun.
And you like the character, it doesn't matter.
I remember the time I didn't have a prop when I was Kai from Heavenly Sword, and I went 1 year to Fanime without it. And so many people were like, what happened to your bazooka? Which it's not, it's a giant crossbow. They're like, what happened to that big gun thing? And then other people are like, that bow and arrow. And I'm like, it's a giant crossbow and I don't have it. And so like the next time we went to Fanime, I took it and I got a lot, actually it was Anime Expo, sorry. And I got a lot more like attention from like Heavenly Sword fans and even people who didn't even know the game. They're like, awesome gun and all this. And I'm like, yeah, I finally have it. So like you can do it with